do what you do when the priest is late. Zazen. I'll be back.
Can I help you with anything?
Can you do anything? Just make sure you're all comfortable over there. Okay. We will now prepare for ceremony. All right, Danny, it's so good to see you. This means maybe things are getting back to normal here. I'm going to just do this a little bit. Good morning, everyone. Good evening, all over the world. This ZAZENKAI, of course, marks the commencement of our season to prepare for JUKAI, undertaking the precepts, and also the commencement of our ANGO, our 90-day, more or less, season of peaceful abiding. I decided to wear the Funzoe Nyohoe Kesa this morning to mark it. I usually wear that also at the JUKAI ceremony as well. What's that flying around in here? Go away, go away. A little visit. This is actually called a kesa of rags. It's not supposed to be something beautiful. It's supposed to be representative, and it is. Taigu, this is not my handiwork. Only Taigu could create something like this. Found bits of discarded kimono and other fabrics, and he sewed it together. The name literally means waistcloth. Actually, the name's it's a little cruder than that, but it's early in the morning here, so I won't say what it means. But it's supposed to be a kesa of discards, imperfect. And at the end, by the way, no matter how careful the work, he puts a little dust on it, or a little ink spot, which when you sew your kesa, if you'll be undertaking JUKAI this time, you should do well. A raksu is a small kesa. It's going to be a perfectly imperfect, thingless thing. It's, how to say, intangible. And that intangibility is what? Not the cloth, the meaning, the love, the power in your heart that you put into it. Danny, I believe, has a kesa she's wearing, right? Your handiwork? Yes? You see, it can be done. And look what Taigu did with time. Only he could do this. We want to thank Taigu again because he's going to guide us one more year through our cycle for ANGO. So as you're sewing, as you're sitting zazen, as you're undertaking the precepts, as you're going through life, realize it's perfectly imperfect, right? We just try to be sincere, do our best. And if we make a mistake, we bow to it, fix it as best we can and move on, right? That's not just Raksu sewing. That's how I get through life anyway. Anyway, time to put the mask back. And we'll be talking about Vanilla Kurti later, who is the perfect fellow to commence our ANGO with, our at-home ANGO. And have I forgotten anything else? Let's see. We may have a couple other folks showing up a bit later. It's so good to see Danny here. This place is not our scuba zendo without Danny here. So good to have you. And let's see, I'm going to put on the view here so I can see everybody. I got the big view here. Do I get to change this? I guess I can't change. Anyway, I don't know what's going on. I know you're all out there. I can see all of you. And all the folks at home who will be joining us later. Oh, there you all are. Hello, everybody. And the folks, I got to go to page 2 today. We have a big turnout. Hello, page 2, folks. Even though you're on page 2 doesn't mean we think less of you. Okay, going back to page 1, folks. Page 1, folks, really, I think you're better. No, I'm just kidding. No. They just got here a few minutes earlier, I guess. Anyway, hello, Candy. Hello, all of wonderful Stuart. Good to see you. I can't even begin to say hello. How good to have our whole family here today. Why am I babbling on and on and on? If you've been here before, you know what to do. And if it's your first time, just follow along. Okay?
마가하냐 하람이다 신교 간지 자이보 사교인 하냐 하람이다 이쇼 갱고원가이 그도이 사이그 야크샤리 시시키푸이 쿠쿠푸이 시키시키 소쿠제 쿠쿠 소쿠제 시키유 소교 시키야크 부뇨제 샤리 시제 쇼호쿠 소푸 쇼프 메츠프 크프 요프 조푸겐 제코쿠 추무 시키무 유소교 시키무 겐니비 제시니무 시키쇼 고미 소쿠호 무겐 카이나이 시무이 시키카이 무무묘 야크 무무묘 인나이 시무로 시야크무 로시인 무쿠슈 메츠도 무 知薬無得意無所得菩提サタエハンニャハラミタコシンムケイゲムケイゲコムウクフオンリーサイテンドム即行ね反散税諸仏へ般若波羅蜜多孤独アノクタラ三脈三菩提コチ般若波羅蜜多税大因修税大妙修税無用修税無東道修の用意細工真実不幸故節般若波羅蜜多収束節収圧やてやてはらやてはらそやてぼいそあかはにゃしんぎょう。The identity of relative and absolute. The mind of the great sage of India is intimately conveyed west and east, while human faculties are both wise and dull, in the way there are no northern or southern ancestors. The subtle source shines clear in the light. The branching streams flow in the dark. To be attached to things is primordial illusion. To encounter the absolute is not yet enlightenment. All spheres, every sense and field, intermingle even as they shine alone, interacting even as they merge, yet keeping their places in expressions of their own. Sights differ primarily in shape and character, and sounds in harsh or soothing tones. The dark makes all words one. The brightness distinguishes good and bad phrases. The four elements return to their true nature as a child turns to its mother. Fire is hot, water is wet, wind moves and the earth is dense. Eye and form, ear and sound, nose and smell, tongue and taste, the sweet and sour, each independent of the other, like leaves that come from the same root. And though leaves and root must go back to the source, both root and leaves have their own uses. Light is also darkness, but do not think of it as darkness. Darkness is light, do not see it as light. Light and darkness are not one, not two, like the foot before and the foot behind in walking. Each thing has its own being, which is no different from its place and function. The relative fits the absolute as a box and its lid. The absolute meets the relative, like two arrow points that touch in midair. Hearing this, simply perceive what is, make no criterion. If you do not see the way, you do not see it even as you walk upon it. Walking forward in the way, you draw no nearer, progress no further. One who fails to see this truth is mountains and rivers away. Listen those who would perceive this subtle matter. Live well your time by night and day. Buddha nature pervades the whole universe, reality existing right here now, in reciting the heart of the perfection of Great Wisdom Sutra and the identity of relative and absolute. We dedicate our sincere efforts to Shakyamuni Buddha, Honor One, the historical Buddha and teacher, and to those ancestral teachers, Eihei Dogen, Honor One, Soji Keizen, Honor One, all successive Honor Ones up until Zuigaku Renpo, Honor One, and Wudo Wafu, Honor One, and to all other Honor Ones throughout history, same yet diverse Honor Ones whose names have been forgotten or left unsaid. We also dedicate these efforts to the three treasures, Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, to all awakened ones and teachers in all places and times. We especially seek tranquility and well-being for all creatures now suffering or ill health. May they be serene through all rails. May their lives be at peace and wisdom pervade the darkness of ignorance. We dedicate our hopes and aspirations to all victims of war and violence and natural events, to the injured and to all families touched by these tragedies, to the healing of hatred in all countries and among all peoples, to the wisdom and compassion of our world leaders, to the peace of the world and harmony of all beings. Thus let the harmful effects of words, thoughts, and actions be dispelled and compassion bloom in perpetual spring. May we all realize and live the enlightened way together. All Buddhas throughout space and time, all Bodhisattvas, Mahasattvas, Maharashnam, Paramita.
Zazen? Can't hit. Zazen? We will have a long hint. Outstanding, still going. Whoop, 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 whoop. Oh. We will have a talk and zazen. Make yourself at home anyway. Kyonin, we're going to recite the verse to open the sutras. I made a mess. Sorry to come to don't look. All right. Oh, I'm going to go natural. Can everyone hear okay? Yes? Oh, good. Good. I was worried for a second there. All right, Kyonin, will you get us rolling?
The Dharma, incomparably profound and infinitely subtle, is always encountered yet rarely perceived. Now we see, hear, receive, and maintain this. May we all realize the Tathagata's true meaning. The Dharma, incomparably profound and infinitely subtle, is always encountered yet rarely perceived. Now we see, hear, receive, and maintain this. May we all realize the Tathagata's true meaning. The Dharma, incomparably profound and infinitely subtle, is always encountered yet rarely perceived. Now we see, hear, receive, and maintain this. May we all realize the Tathagata's true meaning.
Well, hello, everyone. and it's lovely to begin our always at home, wherever you are, at home, in your true home, ANGO, season of peaceful abiding. Last year, I think it was last year, every few years, I turn to Master Dogen's chapter of Shobo Genzo on ANGO, in which he specifies for monastics the very, very detailed, precise rituals and procedures that they must follow. You know Master Dogen's way, that he says the left hand goes here, then you turn right, and then we light this incense, and then we bow. Very, very specific. And it makes it seem as if ANGO is something just for monastics. But then, at the end, Master Dogen, in his way, he does this many times. He gives very, very strict rules, and at the end, he says, but you know, that's the story of Master Dogen's ANGO chapter of Shobo Genzo. He tells the story of Manjusri, who shows up on the last day, breaking all the rules, says, hey, where have you been? You weren't here. He says, no, I was sitting, we'll get to this, but he says, I was sitting in a rich man's house. And I think the other place is I was sitting in a, what was the other place? I forget the second place. And the third one is I was sitting in a bar or a bordello, and everyone is shot. So they want to kick him out of the, not only the ANGO, they want to kick him out of the community. And suddenly the Buddha appears and says, basically, where is ANGO not if your heart is in peaceful abiding? We're going to see another story like that right now that also has a bordello in it. I got to get to explain all this about bordellos. This is not a license to go heading out to bordellos. Don't misunderstand it. But I think you all know what a bordello is, a house of ill repute, we say. You'll see that that's mentioned here too. But no, this is not a license to do just whatever you want. It has a very special meaning to it. But we're going to read today one of the most cherished sutras in Mahayana Buddhism, the Vimalakirti Nirdesa Sutra, the teachings of Vimalakirti. It's one of the few sutras that is actually not spoken directly by the Buddha, but it is spoken by someone else as the voice of wisdom that a Buddha conveys. And in this case, it's a lay person, and not just any lay person, a lay person who in this sutra, well, let's say it's a matter of he defeats the greatest arhats and bodhisattvas, all the famous ones. It's as if someone stepped into a ring, just a regular guy from the front row steps into the ring and knocks out Muhammad Ali, like that. That's the kind of image you have here from this sutra. A guy who just picked up a bat, you know, never played professional baseball and hits a out of the park home run in the World Series, like that. That is Vimalakirti. And for that reason, this sutra has been beloved by laypersons for thousands of years. It was probably written like many Mahayana sutras, all the Mahayana sutras, almost all the sutras. It was written after the time of the Buddha, probably around the time of Jesus it was written. That's how old this is. But how to say, it conveys the wisdom and heart of Buddha, therefore it is the words of Buddha. Just like Vimalakirti speaks the words of Buddha, even though the Buddha is not really present in the sutra except a little bit at the beginning, and I think at the end. Because it is about a lay person, it has been beloved by lay people to say that you can too. And your practice not only can be wonderful in the world, but you can also have riches of teaching and a depth of practice that knocks out, that hits a home run greater than the monastics. And that's us here today, aren't we? We're doing our ANGO out in the world. So that is why Vimalakirti Sutra has been so popular with lay folks like all of us, with families and businesses and work, because that is who Vimalakirti is. There's another sutra that often goes with it, the Roar of Queen Shrimala, also about a lay person. And sometimes in the same volume, you'll find both of them. Well, we're going to turn right now of the sutra. I'll probably do this next month and the month after too. We'll go through it all during our ANGO period because it's wonderful. But I'm going to put my little Jundo stamp on it here and give you an interpretation right now of this that I'm going to say maybe a little modern, maybe not so orthodox, but I think is the actual situation of the sutra going back since the time, not only to when this was written, the actual situation of Buddhism going back to the beginning. And what is that? You have a character here, Vimalakirti, who is such an idealized image of the perfect layperson. He's pure. He never makes a mistake. Somehow he pulls it off to live out in the world, but like a saint. And the image depicted here, which I believe is basically something written by a human being, depicts someone who is saintly, who is up here. I think, however, that the reason to do that is not to say that we must be in our practice so unbelievably pure and saintly. It is to say that is where we put the highest mark, and in life, let's get as close as we can. I think that's very important because let me tell you something. I think that very good Buddhists, 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago, in the time of Buddha, were pretty much just like you and me. Probably good people, probably some excellent people. I very much doubt this kind of perfect people. They were people who, like you and me, had worries about their kids, about where the next meal was coming from or how business was going, how to be honest in the business work they did, when to use violence, when to maybe take a glass of wine or not take a glass of wine. Maybe some of them had addiction issues back in the day. They had health worries like you and me, and maybe worse because they didn't have the doctors and the hospitals that we have. These were people who faced the same challenges and questions and ambiguities in life that you and I faced, and that is true of the followers in the Buddhist time, Dogen's time, right through the centuries. And when we read Vimalakirti, we must read it as a reminder within this crazy, messed up world, our complex life, to try to come as close to that as we can. But I truly do not believe, at least not anyone I've ever met, you can get real close, but I cannot match that perfection. And if you're looking for a teacher or someone who's going to tell you how to be that perfect, you better find some other guy because you got an imperfect teacher here. Really. That doesn't mean, though, that we can do whatever the heck we want either. Like I said, it's not a license. So let's get into the sutra here and see what's going on. Okay. Here's the description in chapter 2. Why no chapter 1, by the way? Just to mention, chapter 1 is like many sutras. We saw this if you go back to our first talk on the Heart Sutra, where there's this big scene where the Buddha's on the mountain, and everybody and every wonderful creature and every bodhisattva shows up to the Buddhas, and they have this, it's like the bar scene in Star Wars. It's one of those scenes, and they're on the mountain, and there's another scene later in the book where this happens. It's just to say that the Buddha's here and he approves all this, and it's this glorious teaching, and it's this big opening, and okay, and then we've had that's scene 1, and now we get into the story. That's why we're on chapter 2. All right, and it tells a little about who is Vimalakirti. Desiring to save others, he employed his excellent expedient of residing in the busy commercial city of Vaishali. Vaishali is the Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania of India, or the Marseille, or the Birmingham, England. It's a big industrial town. And he was a businessman, I think, some kind of merchant or businessman. And he did quite well, apparently. Though this starts to say, oh, he has lots of money and he has a wife and a big house, but it really doesn't mean everything to him, you see. His immeasurable riches he used to relieve the poor. First example of what I want to show to you. Many of the Buddha's followers, many of the people in Buddhism through the time of Dogen until today are people who have done quite well for themselves. And the fact of the matter is that there were working people and there were the employers. There were rich people and poor people in Buddhism. And if you didn't have the people who had some money, you wouldn't have Buddhism, because who do you think paid for it? Who do you think put the money, the food in the monks' bowls? Who do you think built the monastery? Usually the wealthy donors. So many Buddhists were wealthy. There's nothing in Buddhism that says, oh, you have to be impoverished unless you're a monastic. If you're a monastic, you take a vow of poverty, but without working people, business people, merchants, landowners, you would not have had Buddhism. It's just a fact. So what is this? This story is written for those people, and it's saying, Mr. Capitalist, if you're going to have some capital, use it well. Don't forget the poor. A lesson we need to remember today, just as much as 2,000 years ago, maybe more. So if you do have some money, and I'm guessing most of you are middle class, or as they say, upper middle way Buddhists, middle way, upper middle way Buddhists. If you are, remember, feed your family, have a roof over your head, see that your children get an education and have shoes, no problem. This day and age, you need a car. My car, I was told my car, I have to get a new car this year. I've been told my car's on the verge of, that's the end. All things are impermanent, including my Mitsubishi. I have to get a new car. If you need to get a good car, a new car, fine. Don't forget the poor. Okay, you see how this is going to go? Let's continue. His immeasurable riches he used to relieve the poor. His faultless observation of the precepts served as reproach to those who violate prohibitions. Be an example to others of goodness. Through his restraint and forbearance, he warned against rage and anger. Do you think people in the past never got angry? They say the Buddha never got angry. That makes me angry to hear that. A little bit. I think people got angry in the past. Good Buddhists got angry in the past. I read sometimes Dogen. Sounds like he's a little angry about something. He writes it in the Shobogen, so something's ticking him off. Don't get too angry. Control your anger. step away from your anger as you can. Certainly don't do violence and anger. So we put Vimilakirti way up here to remind us who are down on earth, get as close as that as possible. Do I think Vimilakirti never got angry? I've never met such a person. And if I did, perhaps they need some psychiatric situation. I've never met a person so peaceful that they never, I saw a video, even the Dalai Lama getting angry at someone on the video, and someone had a camera and there's the Dalai Lama pointing his finger at someone a little teed off. Everyone gets teed off, don't explode, okay? Let's take Vimilakirti with some reason. Again, I said this is going to annoy or anger some Orthodox Buddhists who really think that they have the Buddhist heroes up here, and that's how we have to be. And one day we're going to be enlightened and we're going to be perfect. We are never going to have a bad hair day. We are never going to make a mistake. And I say, good, when you're enlightened, maybe all of us in the next life, 10 lives from now, we will be this perfect person. In the meantime, at least, I'm in the meantime until we get there, teacher. I'm not going to say never, never anger. I'm going to say, get as close as possible. See how this is going? Let's continue. And his great assiduousness, I think that means, I had to look that up. You know, it was a while since I took the college boards. I think the assiduousness is care, taking care of things with carefully. Discouraged all who thought of sloth and indolence. He was never lazy, never lazy. Yeah, I'm never lazy. I never put off till tomorrow what I should have done yesterday. Okay. Again, try to be as not lazy as possible, okay? Considering his single mind in quiet meditation, he suppressed disordered thoughts. Again, even our Zazen, this word that the translator chose, Burton Watson, of suppressing thoughts. This is not our Zazen, is it? We're not about thought stopping, turning off all thoughts. There are meditations so you can do this. Again, what is it? It's thoughts come, don't grab them and get tangled in them. Again, it's a level of what is realistically and humanly possible as we go through this life. So we're not severing or suppressing all thoughts. Thoughts come, you let them be. Don't become tangled in them. Angry thoughts come, don't nurture those. Jealous thoughts come, turn away, like that. Through firm and unwavering wisdom, he overcame all that was not wise. Okay. Though dressed in the white robes of a lay person, in real Buddhists in Asia, the monks wear monkish robes and the lay people wear white robes. He observed all the rules of pure conduct laid down for monks, and though he lived at home, he felt no attachment to the threefold world. Again, I'm going to tell you, of course, I'm attached. I love my family, my friends. I have a house. I like it. I try not to be overly attached and clinging to it. I'd like to think that, may it never happen, if my house burned down and hopefully my family escapes, I would dust up the ashes and find some other place to live. I try to, in my life, appreciate what is there, but not cling and strangle it. So if it's saying here he had no attachment to the world, I'm going to say, he says here he's got a wife and a daughter. What kind of dad was he? No, I think he loved his family. Don't get me wrong. And they loved him. But he did not strangle them with love and cling and take hold so tightly that the knuckles on his hands turned white, like that. You understand? One could see he had a wife and children. I guess he had sex, I'm assuming. Yet he was at all times chaste in action. That's a real ambiguity, huh? He's chaste, but he has a wife and kids. Maybe they were adopted, I don't know, but what could that possibly mean? Again, for the layperson, I think it means have sex. You know what would happen if no Buddhists had sex? There would be no Buddhism because we'd all be done in one generation. Think about it. Buddhists need to have sex. Please have sex. Please, right now, turn the camera off. Go have sex. Well, now wait till I'm done here. Okay, wait till I'm done. Please. Okay? But don't, again, go to such excess that you're sexually addicted, that it turns into something harmful and abusive, that you misuse it. We're going to see here for drinking a glass of wine, for example, or eating a piece of cake. If you're an alcoholic, have no alcohol. Do not get me wrong. But if you're not an alcoholic and you want to have a glass, okay, I do. I'm not an alcoholic. If I don't have to drink, I have 2 glasses of wine at most. I don't have 3. And I'm not 18 anymore. I don't have my friends pull me out of a bar like I did when I was in college. That's for sure. Everything in moderation here. If you're going to have a piece of cake, have a little cake. I'm on a diet. Have a forkful of cake. Don't have the whole piece. Like that. Don't go to excess. Don't be abusive. But here it's saying somehow he's living with no desire. I think it's, again, putting it up here and saying that we need to get in that direction without. How do you know when you're acting badly? You know it. I have a glass of wine, it's fine. If I have 5, you can tell there's a difference. One's too much. If I have a piece of cake, I know it. If I'm actually having so much cake, I'm in a sugar high, there's a problem. If you're having sex and it's a nice relationship, you know it. If you're having sex and you're feeling, something's a little off and sleazy about this, not good. Like that. One could see he had a wife and children, and yet he was chaste at all times in action. Obviously, he had kin and household attendants. He's rich, man. He's even got servants here. Yet he always delighted in withdrawing from them. Another lesson for us. You have the things you have in your life. We practice in Buddhism the time that we need to pull back and turn the light within. You can either build your hut in the mountains, go to your cabin in the woods if you need for a time, or just in your living room, sit zazen, turn your light within. We know that we have to put the world down for a time, like that. Although he wore jewels and finery, he dressed for success. His real adornment was the auspicious marks. He had the marks of a great, Buddhist layperson. The big earlobes, you've seen the Buddhist statues, that kind of thing. A big tummy. I have a big tummy, so I must be a very good Buddhist. Like that, Although he ate and drank like others, what he truly savored was the joy of meditation. Okay. If he visited the gambling parlors, it was solely to bring enlightenment to those there. If he listened to the doctrines of other religions, he did not allow them to impinge on the true faith. Though well-versed in secular writings, his constant delight was in the Buddhist law. Again, here we have, okay, I just came from Las Vegas. I was in a couple of gambling parlors. I did not gamble. I'm not into gambling. But if I had put a little money down on something, would it have been a sin as a Buddhist priest? Maybe. But here's the thing, okay? There's a difference between putting $2 down in Vegas and having a little laugh and putting your house, selling your house, taking all the money with your kids starving and putting it down on gambling in Vegas. Again, I think in the past too, lay people probably played a poker game or whatever they did, backgammon. I don't know what they did 2,000 years ago. Don't do it to the point of harm. A little friendly game is fine, like that. But not to the point that you're so addicted to it that basically your bank accounts are empty and the mafia is knocking on the door to break your legs. There's a difference, okay? Try to get as close as possible to this ideal. When we study the precepts, this is what I'd like you to aim. You're going to have precepts never to kill. Well, what do you do for cockroaches and mice? How about if there's an intruder in the house? How about if someone's invading your country? We're going to find that suddenly things start to get a little ambiguous. We're going to discuss that for the next 3 months in the precept studies. It says, what else? Never tell a lie. What happens if your wife says, does my dress look nice? And you really hate the dress. What do you do? We're going to discuss this. It was true in the Buddhist time. It was true in Dogen's time for lay people. They had the same ambiguities. Samurai came and the samurai's wife said, what do you think of my dress? He said, oh, I have to go to sword practice. Like that. You always had the same ambiguities. Okay? Respected by everyone, he was looked on as foremost among those deserving of alms. Embracing and upholding the correct Dharma, he gave guidance to old and young. In the spirit of trust and harmony, he conducted all kinds of business enterprises. But though he reaped worldly profit, he took no delight in these. No delight? Don't be overly attached to your money. Don't cling. Use the money you need to get your kids shoes and put them through school and have food on the table. Don't forget the poor. Don't be overly attached to the things you get. I'm going to get a car. I'm not getting a Mercedes, or what my heart really wants is an Alfa Romeo. I said, as a kid, I want an Alfa Romeo. I confess it. I love those Italian cars. I'm not going to get one. They sell them here. I got the money. I could. I'm not getting an Alfa Romeo. Why? I think it's too much. I don't need an Alfa Romeo. I'm not trying to show off. I'm getting probably another Nissan. It's Japan. I get a Japanese car. Toyota maybe. Okay. Maybe a hybrid because it's, you know, the thing to do. That's wise these days. Okay. But I'm not getting my dreamed of Alfa Romeo. For me, that I realize that I'm clutching at that like that. Keep it simple, folks. Use your money well for good. Very simple. He entered the houses of ill fame, the bordellos, to teach the folly of fleshly desire. He entered the wine shops in order to encourage those with a will to quit them. I'm going to say that if you wish to take a vow of celibacy, if you wish or need, because you have an addiction problem, never to touch a drop of wine, do that. Celibacy is a wonderful path for those who wish to be celibate. But what about this thing? He's going into bordellos. Let me give you my take on this. 2,000 years ago, even in Asia, many places today, bordellos are accepted. It's a little shocking for many Americans, but basically this was and still is many, many places basically legalized and open. In those days, lay people, especially men, women never had equal rights. Women stayed home while the men went out, okay? They would go to such places. There was exploitation of the women there, just like there is today. I guess mostly women. They had places with boys. Some men wanted to have boy companionship too. Exploitation, but people did not think of exploitation 2,000 years ago. But why? Everyone was exploited by everybody right up to the king. The king on down, everyone's exploited. Everyone's someone's serf or slave or poor. I don't think people thought of it in those terms. I had a fellow this week come to me in the Sangha, and he said that he had been invited, I can't go into details because it's private, he said I could discuss it a little, to an adult activity by a friend. And it made him uncomfortable. He's not, prudent about sex, but this adult activity that people engage in, it's very popular these days, was too much. And his friend, didn't understand that he didn't want to join in with everybody. And he said, was I wrong? And I said, no, because for you, it's too much. It's too much. It's something that if you did at home with your wife, you might be perfectly comfortable with, but to do in kind of a public setting or on the internet or something like that, it may be overly doing. It doesn't matter what it is because we all have that line. You see something about sex where you go, oh, that's healthy, that's nice. Sex is good. And then you get to a place when you go, no, there's something demeaning or someone's getting hurt there. That's the line. So I don't know what the standards were back in those days. And I think it was more accepted that people did not have just one wife, especially men. And things were different, but the standard was exactly the same. What they're talking about here is if you want to be celibate, please do. It's a beautiful path to be pure, to put down all desire. Many people I know, even who are not Buddhist, choose celibacy. But I think what it's saying here is, if you're going to engage in sexual things, please go up to the point where you don't start to feel, no, this is too much cake, too much wine, too much sex, something abusive, something harmful, something nasty here. Someone's getting hurt. This side of the line, okay. That side of the line is too much cake. Okay? That's what I think it's talking about here. So if it says, he's saying he's going into the wine shops, he's going into the bordellos, let's take it to mean that if you drink and you can drink, you're not addicted, don't overdo. Sex, don't misuse. Our vow is, our precept we will see is, don't misuse sex. We don't, as lay people, married priests in Japan these days, don't say no sex unless you choose. Okay? Got it? We're going to have a long time to talk about that in the coming weeks. Let me get through this. Page 2. In this way, the rich man Vimalakirti employed immeasurable numbers of expedient means in order to bring benefit to others. Using these expedient means, he made it appear that his body had fallen prey to illness. Because of his illness, the king of the country, the great ministers, rich men, lay believers, countless others all came to see him and inquire of his illness and hear his talk. Okay, look. We take a precept to be honest, but you're going to see quite a few times here where we have something called expedient means, which is where Buddhists basically say, hey, it's okay to lie kind of for a good purpose to get people to hear about Buddhism. This is an example, and we're going to see later, Vimalakirti apparently pretends he's sick, so everybody comes to hear the teachings. I had a grandfather who used to do that years ago, and we all knew it. He'd go, I think this is it. And all the family from all over would come to gather around his bedside. And we'd get there and he'd go, no, I'm feeling better. He just wanted everybody to come. And you know what? We knew it. And we came because we wanted to be together too. So it's almost like we started to schedule it. Hey, next week, Grandpa's going to have his heart attack. Okay, I'm going to get a flight. And we knew it. And then 2 weeks later, Grandpa's going, I think it's it. And we'd all rush down there and have a wonderful time. And he'd feel better. One day, unfortunately, it was real. I'll dedicate this to my grandpa. One day, it really was. But until that time, we would all gather. Well, this is Vimalakirti's little white lie to gather everyone together to make this teaching. Vilmakirti then used his bodily illness to expound the law to them in broad terms. Good people, this body is impermanent, without durability, without strength, without firmness, a thing that decays in a moment, not to be relied on. It suffers, it's tormented, a meeting place of manifold ills. These old Buddhists could say things 5 times to say 1 point more than a lawyer. When I was in law school, they said, don't just say something 1 time, say it 3 to 5 times. I hereby promise, vow, undertake, do endeavor, and shall do, like that. No, just say I promise. Right? Or we'd say something like, do not take. I shall not take, remove, possess without permission. No, just say you're not going to take it. Okay? This is, so these old Buddhists would say things 5 times. What's he saying here? He's saying the body is like a bubble. You got it for a time. And then it pops. Okay. Does that mean again here that he's saying that, oh, we should just get out of this body? This body's bad. No, again, we are best of both worlds Buddhists. Have this body, take care of this body, eat healthy, do your exercise, maintain this body as long as you can, but like your house, do not be overly attached to the body. I'm going to the gym now. One of the things I can do since I got my 2 vaccines. These guys are standing in front of mirrors, you know, with the thing, and they're flexing. Oh, look at I got the new line here, you know, and they're saying, oh, that's a great, you got the line there. My body, I got no lines. Oh, I got lines, but they're all in the wrong places. Like that, okay? So, you know, the guy walks by, I suck my stomach in real quick. Can I walk like that? And then he goes past and I, you know, let it out again. It's too much. Don't be overly attached to the body, but take care of your body like that. So anyway, he keeps going. Good people, no person of enlightened wisdom could depend on a thing like this body. This body is a cluster of foam. This body is a dream, etc., etc. I'm going to skip down. Beset by 101 ills and anxieties. Accept that fact. We get sick. Okay? Again, it's not an extreme view. Savor the body, have the body, maintain the body. Don't be overly attached to the body, right? And if the time comes you get sick, accept that too. I know it's hard, but accept it too. Anyway, getting to the last paragraph here. Good people, a thing like this is irksome and hateful, and therefore you should seek the Buddha body. What's the Buddha body? Also known as our true face, you know, Buddha nature. Why? Because the Buddha body is the Dharma body, the whole thing that I always talk about, the whole Megillah, like that. It is born from immeasurable merits and wisdom. It is born from precepts, meditation, wisdom, emancipation, and the insight of emancipation. It is born from pity, compassion, joy, and indifference. Here's another thing, and I'm going to close on this today, that I think is the lesson I'm going to offer you in what enlightenment is in Master Dogen's view and our view. Some people think that when you're fully enlightened, you just become all this and it's perfect. You are Buddha. Buddha is completely abiding by the precepts, completely wise, thoroughly emancipated, just pure pity, compassion, joy for the world, and equanimity. My lesson to you is this. That's the up here, the ideal. But that's the saint that's up here. But whenever in your life you act in such way, you are bringing the saint to life. You are acting in a saintly way. You are manifesting the Buddha. You are manifesting enlightenment. Act with anger, you're bringing the devil, man. Act with peace and compassion, caring, you're bringing Buddha to life with your hands and feet. This is what we can do. So I don't know when we get to be perfect Buddha, but in the meantime, right now, when you abide by the precepts, live in a way that the precepts guide, sit zazen, act with wisdom, when you bring equanimity to a situation, when you bring pity for others, compassion, you are bringing enlightenment to life right here. That was Master Dogen's vision of bringing enlightenment as a continuous process with every step and choice we make. This moment, next minute, it may be gone. That's the thing. Some people think you get it. Oh, perfect enlightenment. I'm done. I'm done. I'm now Buddha. No, we don't believe that. Sorry. If you want a teacher who's going to tell you that, you got to find someone else. I'm telling you, you can be Buddha in your choice this moment. Act in a Buddha-ish, Buddha-like, Buddha-y way. Saintly, we got saintly way. So I'm going to say Buddha-ly way, a Buddha-ly way. And the next moment, you're the devil again, man. That's our constant crossroads. So when you want to bring the Buddha body to life, act with pity, compassion, joy, and equanimity. It is born of the various perfections, such as almsgiving. When you give charity, that's a Buddha-ly thing. Keeping the precepts, being tolerant, forbearance is tolerance, and gentle, assiduous. That's that word again I had to look up. You know, not lazy. Having wisdom. Then you bring the body of the thus come one, the Buddha, to life. If you wish to gain the Buddha body and do away with the ills that affect all living beings, then you must set your minds on attaining supreme, unsurpassed enlightenment. And then the following chapters talk a little bit more about what that is. Got the point? I don't see any perfect Buddhas here. I'm looking out. You know what I see? I see the perfection of Buddha in every face I'm looking at. That's all I got. Any questions? I don't know if we have a page 2 here, so I can't. Do we have a page 2? Oh, we do. Wow, man. Okay, I'm going to. Anyone got a question? Wave your hand. We got all this wonderful technology. Somebody use it just to show off how we can do this. Any question? A Buddha-ly question? Kote, you have a question. He has to have a question because I get to. Kote is one of the guys I get to. He's the Shuso now. You know, he's kind of in charge of this whole thing. So I get to tell him he must have a question. Kote, what's your question?
Max has his hand up.
I have no real question, but I heard someone else. That's the question. Who was it? I heard another voice.
Yes, who was it?
It's me.
Sengaku?
Hey, Jin.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
I'm just saying Max has his hand up.
Max, I don't know. Everybody's in the wrong place here. Max, wherever you are, what's your question?
Hi, I just had a question about what you were saying about how we can be embodying enlightenment one moment and embodying the devil the next. Is that kind of what's meant by ceaseless practice? Is striving to embody as much as possible enlightenment, or is that something different?
That is precisely, I believe, what Dogen was meaning by ceaseless practice, because Dogen was not a perfect person. He was a very good person, I think. And he knew that it's this moment and this action and this next word we say and this next gesture and this next choice we make that determines what happens, and then the choice after that and the action after that, etc., etc. Yes, that's exactly what he meant, I believe.
Thank you.
Anything else? No? I love it when my talks just leave people so stunned that they're beyond words. I don't know if it's a good thing that I've actually explained everything, and so no one has a question, or just everyone's just sitting there in such shock. That's okay. Anyway, all right, if that's fine. We are going to have in a couple of minutes, for those who, I think everyone's been here with us before, but we're going to have the sacred ritual that comes from thousands of years ago in India, known as the hokey pokey. I believe in Pali, or that's in Sanskrit, and Pali it is the hokey cokey. We'll do that in a minute. In the meantime, we're going to have a short zazen, and I do this just for the reason, number one is because we have very little time, of course, but the other reason is an important one. Zazen is not long and short. Sometimes we sit long, days, weeks. Sometimes you can sit for a few moments. It's all timeless zazen. Okay, so we're going to sit now, short zazen. Thank you. That was the end of zazen. I like to do that before everyone's already seated. You know, I like to wait. They're just getting their tush on the zafu, and I ring the bell again. I did that on purpose to make a point that there is no beginning and end to this. Okay, thank you. That was a lovely zazen. Very good. Now it's hokey pokey time. We're going back to our roots today. Today I have found what purports to be the earliest known recording in Western civilization of the hokey pokey. Please, everybody up. Everyone must participate. Thank you.
Foot. You put your right foot in, you put your right foot out, you put your right foot in and you shake it all about. You do the hokey pokey and you turn yourself around. That's what it's all about. Your left foot. You put your left foot in, you put your left foot out, you put your left foot in and you shake it all about. You do the hokey pokey and you turn yourself around. That's what it's all about. Right arm. You put your right arm in, you put your right arm out, you put your right arm in and you shake it all about. You do the hokey pokey and you turn yourself around. That's what it's all about. Left arm. You put your left arm in, you put your left arm out, you put your left arm in and you shake it all about. You do the hokey pokey and you turn yourself around. That's what it's all about. Right elbow. You put your right elbow in, you put your right elbow out, you put your right elbow in and you shake it all about. You do the hokey pokey and you turn yourself around. That's what it's all about. Left elbow. You put your left elbow in, you put your left elbow out, you put your left elbow in and you shake it all about. You do the hokey pokey and you turn yourself around. That's what it's all about. Your head. You put your head in, you put your head out, you put your head in and you shake it all about. You do the hokey pokey and you turn yourself around. That's what it's all about. Your right hip. You put your right hip in, you put your right hip out, you put your right hip in and you shake it all about. You do the hokey pokey and you turn yourself around. That's what it's all about. Left hip. You put your left hip in, you put your left hip out, you put your left hip in and you shake it all about. You do the hokey pokey and you turn yourself around. That's what it's all about. Your whole self. You put your whole self in, you put your whole self out, you put your whole self in and you shake it all about. You do the hokey pokey and you turn yourself around. That's what it's all about. Your backside. You put your backside backside in, you put your backside out, you put your backside in, and you shake it all about. You do the hokey pokey and you turn yourself around. That's what it's all about. The hokey pokey. You do the hokey pokey. You do the hokey pokey on your knees. You do the hokey pokey. Slap the floor. That's what it's all about.
I think that's quite daring for 1950. They actually say backside. I wonder if that's related to like the, you know, the Vipassana practice where you go through all the bodily parts. Just my theory. Anyway, Zazen. We will have a long kinhin. we will now recite the metaverses, plus a little footnote to my talk a few minutes ago. Kyonin, you still there? Be prepared. We're going to do the verse to close the sutras in a second.
Sure.
Have a seat. Relax. Have some tea. Okay. First off, I forgot we didn't recite the verse to close the sutras. We're going to do that in a second. You see, I'm perfect except for all the mistakes I always make, things I forget. But I wanted to add one footnote to the question about continuous practice enlightenment. And maybe when we do the, if this ever becomes a podcast, we can kind of edit this part in, connect it, cut out the hokey pokey in the middle. But here's the point. You know, continuous practice enlightenment. I said sometimes we can act Buddhally, and the next moment we could act like the devil, and that was Master Dogen's vision. But there's one more thing, and this is what the Vimalakirti Sutra is all about. We see the emptiness of all of it, you see. That's the key to enlightenment too. So we realize the Bodhisattva, the Buddha, and the devil are all empty, but yet, we do our best to act more like the Bodhisattva than the devil, right? Good and bad, all emptiness. This is what the rest of the Vimalakirti Sutra is about. All is emptiness, the flowing wholeness of it all. Right and wrong, killing, not killing, stealing, not stealing, all empty. Devil and Buddha, all empty. But nonetheless, to realize this fact, we cannot live like the devil. We must live more like the Bodhisattva, or in the, I'm going to copyright this, Buddha-ly way. Okay? So that was the footnote I wanted to add to Master Dogen's vision of continuous practice enlightenment. Okay? That said, now we're going to recite the verse to close the sutras before we move on, and we're going to pretend we didn't do the hokey pokey in between.
May the merits of these teachings penetrate into each thing in all places, so that we and every sentient being together may realize the Buddha's way. All Buddhas throughout space and time, all Bodhisattvas, Mahasattvas, Maham, Prashnam, Paramita.
Okay, we're all caught up now. Next on our agenda for this meeting is the metaverses. I think everyone here has experience with them, but just in case we have a new person or two, I will tell you this is something from the South Asian Buddhist tradition especially, that has become much cherished in many Zen groups in the West, though it's in Mahayana Buddhism too. And this is actually a visualization exercise. It's words we recite not only to wish peace and contentment, equanimity to others, but as we're doing so, we actually do our best to visualize our actually feeling it. And this thus helps our own heart, even as we're wishing to others. I am often asked, is it a real power? And I say yes, because when you do anger in the world, you add more poison in the atmosphere around you. And these days on the internet, look at this. If I said something bad now, it goes all over the world to all of you, wherever you are. And so if we do something good, generous, wishing peace, it has a real effect, spreading out all over the world. So it's a real power. It's a real power, metta. Now, we begin with ourselves, nothing wrong with that. Then someone we love, then a friend, then a near stranger, then the difficult person, which I always say, remembering that we wish contentment, health, and peace to the difficult person, because the person who has done bad things, because if they truly knew equanimity, peace, and health, they would not be that person. They would not be doing that. So we recite in that spirit, okay? And then to all sentient beings, remembering that ourself, the people we love, even the difficult person, not two. You are the difficult person, but for the grace of Buddha, go I believe is the expression. You could be that person too, to somebody. All right. Anyway, we're going to start with ourselves. Everybody in position. There you go. Elbows up. Nice. Get your elbows up. Good. May I be free of suffering. May I feel safe. Feel safe. And still. Feel the stillness. May I be free of enmity. Enmity means hate. May I be free of enmity. May I be loving. Grateful for all of it, even the hard parts. May I be grateful and kind. May I be healthy. But because, as Ramilakirti said, the body is like a bubble, that's not always going to be. So may I be at ease in all my ills. May I be at peace, embracing all conditions of life. Okay, now for someone we love, and yes, you can include a group of people. There are unlimited supplies of metta, unlimited supplies. Let's see, who should be the victim, my victim today? I got somebody, okay. May he be free of suffering. May he feel safe and still. May he be free of enmity, including when his roommate takes too much space in the dorm room. That's a joke between me and Sekeshi. I'm chanting for my son. May he be loving, grateful, even when they give him so much homework, and kind. May he be healthy and at ease in all his ills. May he be at peace, embracing all conditions of life. Now for a friend or friends in our life. It's okay if they know, the person who's behind me knows I'm chanting for her. May she be free of suffering. May she feel safe and still. May she be free of enmity, even though it's hard to imagine her ever getting angry, but I guess it happens. May she be loving, grateful, and kind. May she be healthy and at ease in all her ills. May she be at peace, embracing all conditions of life. Okay? Now for the stranger, the delivery fellow, someone you passed in a store, barely remember. Don't even remember, it's okay. Somebody, let's see. May they be free of suffering. May they feel safe and still. May they be free of enmity. May they be loving, grateful, and kind. May they be healthy and at ease in all their ills. May they be at peace, embracing all conditions of life. Okay, Now, the tricky one, someone in this world, in the news, or in your own life, past or present, or future, I guess, who has done great harm to you, to others, with the idea that if they were healthy in body and mind, if they knew peace, if they were not filled with hate, they would not be that person. Okay? Got somebody? Oh, it's a good sign. I'm actually having trouble to think this week. Okay, I got it. May he be free of suffering. May he feel safe and still. May he be free of suffering. May he be loving. I'll say that twice because he could use it. May he really be loving, gentle, underlined, and kind. May he be healthy and at ease in all his ills. May he be at peace, embracing all conditions of life. This is the kind of chant, by the way, you see I play around with the words sometimes. This is not the kind of chant you have to recite mechanically because it's a visualization. You can add little comments, a little, it's that kind of thing. These are living words. So you can add little things like I said, oh boy, this guy really could use some more loving and underline the kindness. It's okay to do that with this chant. Okay, let's see, who's next? I think we did the difficult person. So that's all sentient beings. All sentient beings. Let's include the animals and the mountains, the stars. Let's include it all today. Okay. May we be free of suffering. May we feel safe and still. May we be free of enmity. May we be loving, grateful, and kind. May we be healthy and at ease in all our ills. May we be at peace, embracing all conditions of life. Okay, very good. Amen. All right. Let's see, we will now sit a little, be where you are, Zazen. You don't have to particularly move any place. You want to sit where you are and just make yourself comfortable. We're going to sit for a few minutes. And everybody ready? On your mark. We got the Olympics going here, so I'm in the mood. Get set. It's better than a starting gun, I guess. We will now recite the verse of atonement and the 4 vows.
All harmful words, thoughts, and acts ever committed by me since of old, on account of beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and mind, now I atone for them all. To save all sentient beings, though beings numberless, to transform all delusions, though delusions inexhaustible, to perceive reality, though reality is boundless, to attain the enlightened way, a way unattainable, to save all sentient beings, though beings numberless, to transform all delusions, though delusions inexhaustible, to perceive reality, though reality is boundless, to attain the enlightened way, a way unattainable, to save all sentient beings, though beings numberless, to transform all delusions, though delusions inexhaustible, to perceive reality, though reality is boundless, to attain the enlightened way, a way non-attainable.
Very good. Well, lovely. So we are off and running on ANGO and JUKAI. I will have the sewing section open in a bit, which will be mentored by Kote, assisted, I could refer to them as the 3 Raksu tiers. Kote is mentored himself by Shinchi and Washin. And he's also Shusho, and we have other Shuso, and all our Shuso are going to help everybody through. And it's going to be fun. Yes? We're going to have a fun many weeks coming up. Okay, guys, do act boodily this week and go have sex now. Go have sex. See you guys in a loving way. See you guys. Bye-bye. You don't have to have sex. It's an option. I should have said that. It's optional, but okay. Anyway. See you guys.